Welcome to I Can't Believe It's Not News with Beth and Elizabeth.
Hi.
Hey, Elizabeth.
Gosh.
Oh, we suck at this now. It's been a really long time since we've tried to record something.
I know. I was like, oh, am I hitting the right button?
I know.
Is this the one that makes it go?
You're like, doesn't the podcast just magically appear?
Oh, shit. I knew it wasn't that way.
So we are back from Florida.
Yay.
Back to the fake news.
Mm-hmm. Away from the alligators.
Yes. You know, Elizabeth, I think that it's just time to come clean. We just need to admit that what we did in Florida for our employer. Elizabeth and I work for Bounty. We both drove a semi-truck of paper towels down to Florida, and we must have thrown thousands of paper towels to people.
All over the place. All over. Really, really helpful.
Because that's how you clean up a hurricane. And Bounty is the quicker, thicker picker-upper. It absorbs so much water. I mean,
so much bullshit.
We were in floods, and after we deposited our paper towels along the Florida corridor, there was less flood. So I know it worked. But now we're back. And
yes, we're back.
Fake news did not stop while we were gone.
Oh, no. Oh, no, it did not. No.
So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, today we're going to talk about what happened in Las Vegas during the time that we were gone. As everyone is well aware, there was a terrible mass shooting at a country music concert outside of the Mandalay Bay Hotel. And the gunman is something of an enigmatic figure, doesn't seem to have any of the normal motivations that we look for people who commit these atrocities. He wasn't religiously or politically motivated that we're aware of, didn't have any profound mental illness that we're aware of.
Fox and Friends were very confused.
Yeah, they were confused. They were absolutely confused.
They didn't know why to hate him, besides the mass murder thing.
Yeah, just couldn't figure out. It really conflicted internally.
Yeah. I mean, why should we hate this guy? I don't know. I don't know either. He's apparently not Muslim. He's not dark skinned. He's, I don't know. What do we do?
Yeah. And then I saw a clip from that show where the blonde, whatever her name is, was kind of really grasping at straws and said, well, gosh, country music lovers usually are very religious and love God. And maybe he hated that about them. And so that's why he wanted to kill them. And even her co-host was looking at her like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so after a tragedy, a lot of times there's going to be misinformation, and some of that is going to be unintentional. Some of that is going to be intentional disinformation. Right. And you kind of expect that. And so but I think that in this climate that we have where fake news is so rampant, it just seems like it seems like there was so much more of it. Maybe there is so much more of it, or maybe I am just looking at things differently and seeing more of it.
I think that's a possibility, but I think you're right. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact is we have a white male shooter here. Mm-hmm. And they can't blame it on a group as easily. And so they're grasping to try to come up with this reason to blame him. And so I think we are seeing more fake news out of this one, because now you've got the theories that he was Antifa. How do you say that? Antifa
Antifa. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the crooked media hosts have a big debate on how to say that right. So,
are they saying Antifa or
like,
anti?
Yeah. It's just like it's like you're okay. Anyway, but it's like going towards like this whole like notion now that like liberals are now starting to kill conservatives, and you had that shooter that happened with the congressman. And obviously, so now there's like this idea of like, oh my gosh, liberals could be the killers, it's all liberals. And so to see like the fake news coming out that this guy is associated with ISIS and Antifa, like both.
Well, conservatives, will think that, just liberals love Islam and you just conflate the two. And it's those Rachel Maddow watching Muslim extremists. Like same guy, right? Same guy.
Jesus. Yeah. And then it's country music. So like, like that host was grasping at like, oh, maybe it's, country music fans are stereotypically usually more conservative, more gun-loving Southern conservatives, right? Which is a stereotype and is, not true. Like, I mean, I think all walks of life like country music. I'm not included in that, but that doesn't mean that people like me don't like country music. So, anyway, it's just like their new theories. So I do think we've been seeing a little bit more fake news on this one.
I just read an article on CNN that is about some reporting that they did. They just released this today. They obtained a 97-page court deposition from October of 2013 that was part of a civil lawsuit against the Cosmopolitan Hotel by Stephen Paddock. He slipped and fell in the Cosmopolitan.
Oh, really?
And was suing them for his injuries.
Oh, okay. So let's give them the title of this article that you read.
Yeah. Exclusive. Vegas killer described his unusual habits in 2013 testimony by Scott Glover in, I'm going to mispronounce, Kyung La.
That actually sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
Good job.
A couple of badasses over at CNN doing some awesome reporting. And this is just super fascinating because it's him in his own words describing himself and his habits to the court. And his testimony just really kind of gives you some insight into what's going on in his head. And he says that he was prescribed Valium for some anxiousness. And so, but it didn't seem like he took a lot of it, based on what was in this testimony. He said that he had a bottle of 60 that had lasted him like a year and a half, right? So at that time, it didn't seem like that would be something that would be concerning, but he says he has a doctor on retainer, whatever that means.
I have a doctor on retainer too. It's my doctor.
Yeah. Well, but like, so do you give your doctor like, I'm going to give you thousands of dollars to just be around?
I guess they do have like concierge doctors, like for rich people. You can
sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's what he means. I don't know. That's kind of weird, to maintain your Valium prescription that you need like twice a year, So he traveled around a lot, he says, between California, Nevada, Texas, Florida. And he spent a lot of time in casinos where it says he stayed in rooms that were provided for free 95% of the time, which is, as has been widely reported, he got lots of the really good comps. He was a high roller.
Real quick here. It does say in the article about that doctor, he's like on a retainer, I guess. I call it, Paddock said, a Winkler. It means I pay a fee yearly. I have good access to him.
Oh, okay.
So it is like a concierge doctor situation.
Okay. So this is where it gets kind of interesting. He says that he called himself the biggest video poker player in the world. And yeah, he says that he knows that because he knows some of the big video poker players, and no one played as long as he did. It says, I averaged 14 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Wow.
I gamble all night and I sleep during the day.
I do not do sun, it said.
Yeah. Yeah, it says when asked if he ever visited the hotel pool, he says, I do not do the sun.
Wow. He might have been vitamin D deficient.
Well, something's going on.
Something's going on here.
Yeah, and then he says he rarely drank because, at the level of play that he's doing, you need to have your wits about you. So I love this quote here. It says, a lawyer asked him how much he could end up betting on a given night. $1 million, Paddock replied. That's a lot of money, the lawyer said. No, it's not, Paddock said. Wow. So that's just a little bit of insight into who this guy is. So he's kind of this eccentric millionaire. We know that he had, millions of dollars from, I think, the sale of this apartment complex and the proceeds from that business. I think it said that he, in one of these articles I read, that he was making $500,000 a year when he owned the apartment complex as revenue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So gun nut, eccentric millionaire.
Yeah.
Not crazy, it doesn't seem like, but he had a very particular lifestyle.
Yeah.
And
at least not crazy until that one night.
Yeah. But, it doesn't say anything about being religious or particularly political, Yeah.
So I think this is part of why we're seeing some more fake news here is we have kind of an odd but normal man who flipped. Something happened, right? And he, for some reason, decided that he had to shoot a massive amount of people.
Yeah.
And planned it. Set up cameras, and they found a page of written numbers. And I saw they figured out that was the ranges, he was...
Yeah, calculations. So he was smart. Yeah. And one of the things that they were saying in one of the articles about him is that he did video poker a lot. So in regular poker, where you're sitting down at a table with people, there's all kinds of social things and cues that you have to pick up. It's a whole other level. And with video poker, it's really focused on probabilities and mathematics. So that could be for someone who's less social and more mathematically inclined.
Right.
It seems like he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So given that, so now we have kind of this idea in our heads of what he's about. Okay. Yeah.
He's a really pasty white guy with a lot of guns. That's what we know.
And so
living the Vegas lifestyle.
Yeah. So like we said, there's so much fake news out there about this attack, but there's one article that I want to focus on that is from Infowars.
What?
I know, right?
Infowars. I've never heard of them. Who are they?
Yeah. I think we might have mentioned them, Beth. I think that if you start firing some of those fake news synapses in your brain, you might have a memory of Infowars and Alex Jones.
Oh, Alex Jones. Well, for the people listening who maybe don't know about Infowars and Alex Jones. So Alex Jones is a major conspiracy theorist, and he runs this website called Infowars, and he has a radio show. And, he's a prolific asshole. Is that okay?
So the title of this article is Massive Evidence Mounts Vegas Shooting Was an ISIS Attack. by Kit Daniels from Infowars, October 6th, 2017. So there's lots and lots of assertions in here. So many things. It's really remarkable. It starts saying the very first sentence, suspected Las Vegas shooter Stephen Paddock maintained deep ties to ISIS, suggests new evidence as a clear picture of what actually happened comes into focus.
Yeah, there's no evidence of that.
Link, please.
Yeah.
Link, please.
Yeah, tell me the evidence. Because here's what I saw in the real world is that there is a New York Times reporter who said, hey, I'm really familiar with ISIS and how they work, and they don't normally take credit for something they didn't do. So that's odd in this situation. Mm-hmm. But that's it. That's the only thing. We only have ISIS saying that this guy was associated with ISIS. And I'm going to go out on a limb and just say that ISIS is not a legitimate news source, and we should take them at their word. And that they might be, trying to spread some propaganda here.
ISIS, not totally honest?
I'm just going out on a limb, and I'm going to say that they aren't on MediaBiasFactCheck.com. I couldn't find them at any, PolitiFact, Snow. I checked everywhere, and they are not a legitimate news source. And I'm totally joking. I didn't check any of that. But here's the thing, we have everybody else saying, the FBI saying, there's no evidence. There was nothing in his hotel room. There was nothing in his life. There was nothing in his homes. Nobody is coming out to say, oh, yeah, he totally converted to Islam 6 months ago. That's the only people saying that is ISIS. And this one legitimate reporter that's saying, hey, that seems weird.
Why would he even do that? Why would he convert to Islam? There's no need for him to change anything.
I don't have this article pulled up, but I saw this. This is what happened, Elizabeth. And this makes complete sense. His girlfriend, he sent her to the Philippines, and Obama was just in the Philippines. And so obviously this is trying to take down Donald Trump's government. That's what this is. I swear to God, I read that, and it just blew my mind. I was cannot process too much fucking crazy.
Oh man. Okay, so back to Infowars.
Oh, back to the less crazy article. What I just brought up.
Well, I don't know. Let's hold off judgment.
Oh, okay, good.
On that ranking, okay, because this is some good stuff here. So it says that Paddock had been radicalized, either for real or as part of a cover, as he had the hallmarks of an intelligence agency cutout.
Oh, okay.
Intelligence agencies were behind the rise of ISIS.
Yeah, I think this is going to the whole false flag argument, and I've seen a lot of that.
So I had to Google what a cutout is, because I'm just not really down with the espionage slang.
Oh, you're not in the CIA?
Or am I?
We are so good at our covers. We're we pretend we don't know what things are.
Shouldn't have said that. I'm terrible at my cover.
Bounty. We work for Bounty, Elizabeth. Paper towels.
Anyway, so a cutout is a mutually trusted intermediary, okay, between two spy organizations. So I was reading some article that was talking about I don't know who it was, the U.S. and the Russians or something coming together to exchange information. And there was some banker or something that worked as this intermediary. Okay. And so it's that type of person, they say, okay, I trust you and I trust you and you're going to come together and, I'm going to help make this go smoothly, this exchange of information. What?
Yeah. No.
the opposite of this asshole.
Right. Like the CIA was like, who can we get to help us with this? I know. There's this eccentric millionaire who gambles all night and sleeps all day. He's perfect.
Right. He wears flip-flops all the time and sweatpants and no. Okay. So again, unsubstantiated. Yeah, and intelligence agencies were behind the rise of ISIS. Okay, whatever, dude. Just whatever. Link, please. Yeah. So number 2, because he has, I'm saying number 2 because in this article it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all just bulleted out very nicely for us, which I actually appreciate. I actually appreciate the way that it organized the crazy for me.
You're fucking crazy, but your organizational skills are on point.
I do like that aspect. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, remember, actually, sorry, last time we talked about Alex Jones, remember he was the one who put the Chobani defamation site into his article. So I was like, thank you, Alex Jones, for linking that for me. Yeah. So
Paddock,
number 2.
Paddock worked for a major aerospace company, which had connections with Skunk Works, and he held multiple pilot licenses.
Okay. Again, seriously.
Oh, well, but there's a lot to unpack in here. So do you know what Skunk Works is?
No.
Neither did I. And I bet you money most Infowars readers don't know either, but they like, oh, that's a scary, shady thing. Right?
That sounds scary. Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Well, what it is, I Googled it and it has a Wikipedia page. It's a thing. It is the official pseudonym for Lockheed Martin's advanced development programs. Okay. So Lockheed, defense contracting, they do some kind of secret stuff. They do some cool stuff, right?
I did see some things about him wearing they think that he was at this rally wearing a NASA t-shirt, and that was very telling because he worked for Lockheed Martin, who has contracts with NASA.
Yeah, they're a NASA contractor, and Skunk Works is a unit at Lockheed that works on like super secret stuff. And it's also kind of part of what they are trying to do, apparently, based on what Wikipedia says at Skunk Works, is take away some of the bureaucracy and let these people let their scientific minds kind of play and be creative and not have some of that oversight. And so it sounds like a pretty cool place to work. And
I think I just figured out what happened, Elizabeth. This guy is in charge of the chemtrails. He's a pilot. And this is what's happening. He's the chemtrail guy.
Chemtrail guy. It's like the skunk. It's like the skunk.
Yeah.
The skunk.
Yes! Oh my God! You figured it out!
I'm almost making this sign language thing for bullshit.
Wow.
I just have my hand like it's a butthole and I'm like indicating stuff that's coming out of it. Oh my God. We're so far down the rabbit hole, Beth. Oh my God.
We're only on bullet point number 2.
If we don't put out another episode, listeners, you know why. Okay.
This is what happened.
Okay, come for us.
All the conspiracy theories.
We figured it out. Nice. Anyway, so based on the Wikipedia article about Paddock, he worked for a company that got merged into Lockheed Martin. I know he might have worked for the Skunk Works department. I kind of doubt it. I think that would probably be some really high-level engineering stuff. And I think he was more of a business accounting guy.
Right.
But he might have. But you know how many Skunk Works employees go on crazy killing rampages?
How
pretty
many?
close to 0.
Right.
Yeah. So, they're designing airplanes. he didn't use an airplane, anyway. So the pilot license thing is, the 9/11, right? They were here getting pilot licenses. Not that matters for anything at all. But also another aspect of this, which is kind of fun, is after in this thing, it says he had connections with Skunk Works and he held multiple pilot licenses. And so I looked it up. Unless you are having pilot licenses in like different countries, there's no need to have multiple pilot licenses.
Is it for the type of aircraft or anything like that? Like the size, like commercial versus private?
Maybe.
Because I think I have some family members that are pilots, and I think first you get your license for like a single twin engine or like, like a single engine versus twin engine versus commercial.
Okay.
Versus like the military, like bombers. Like, I think there's that distinction, but you're right. Like, I don't think there's like all these like different licenses that you necessarily have to get.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I was wondering what that was supposed to mean. Like why multiple pilot licenses was a thing.
Yeah.
Why is that? Is that scarier because there's more than one?
Right. And like if you have a truck driver with multiple driver's licenses because they have like a commercial in it.
Well, but I think they're commercial. They're commercial.
It covers it.
You wouldn't have like a civilian, like a normal car, right? You would just have your commercial driver's license and that's that. So if you are able to fly a commercial aircraft, I wouldn't think you would also need a separate license for a smaller one.
You might, just because they do require maybe a different test or different hours to upkeep it.
I don't know. You know what?
But yeah.
If you know, listener,
let us know.
Pilot listener, just an email at podcastfakenews@gmail.com so we can get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. Although I'm pretty sure we're not going to solve
this
through the pilot licenses.
So number 3, there was more than one shooter, and Paddock was clearly not acting alone. So this is one of the main big fake news things that has been going around. And so Snopes looked at it in their article titled, "Did a Second Gunman Shoot from the 4th Floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel?" And they found that claim is false. They say that in the immediate days following the mass shooting, some disreputable sites like Your Newswire and naturalnews.com immediately kept publishing false conspiracy theories. And this was one of the big ones. There's a video that shows like some lights around the 4th floor. There's no other flashing lights in Las Vegas.
Right. So, and they showed a video. They showed too, like you can see in a video taken before the shooting that those same lights were flashing. Like it's probably a disco or something. Like whatever. Mm-hmm. Like it's Vegas.
Right. Because it's Vegas. Yeah.
Flashing lights are everywhere.
Yeah. And then they point out there are no broken windows on the 4th floor. And as police were ascending, they didn't hear automatic weapon fire from the 4th floor. This just didn't happen. This all kinds of did not happen.
Right. And I think when it was happening, there was just so much gunfire that the news at the time was reporting that like maybe possible multiple shooters.
Yes, absolutely.
Because so much was happening. And I read some things that this lady had put a post on Facebook, and she was there and she was in a different hotel, and she was adamant that different hotels were affected and everything. And I'm sure what was going on is that the security teams at all these hotels were like, get in your fucking rooms. We don't know what's happening. Just get out. Like, go to your room and stay safe and get out of the halls, get out of the streets, get out of our lobbies, because they didn't know what was happening. And there were just fucking bullets flying everywhere. Yeah. Like, you don't know what's happening. You don't know if there's going to be a second gunman. I mean, just like 9/11, when the first plane hit, they're like, oh my God, this terrible accident. And then the second plane hit and they were like, that's not an accident.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the security forces
definitely weren't expecting that second plane.
They weren't. But now we kind of are. And so I think the security forces, when you start seeing bullets flying on concert goers from a high up floor, you start looking around to see, are there going to be more shooters? You know, and I think in that moment, that's the right thing to look for, right? Like, you want to make sure everybody's safe, and
very healthy response in that moment.
Healthy response. And so I think when a lot of the people were saying that multiple hotels were affected, it could have had a different meaning in that, like, people that were staying at those hotels may have been shot that were at the concert. It could be that they meant that, like, the hotel was locking down. It did not mean that people were actually shot in the hotel. Like, you know, there was no shots fired into those hotels. So,
definitely not more than one person. So stop it.
Right.
Just stop.
We're just done with that. Like, just stop it.
The police said one shooter, full stop. We're done. That's it.
And this isn't a JFK thing where the bullet had to travel through 59 people. This is literally one guy with an arsenal that shot for like 2.5 minutes and injured 500 people and killed almost 60.
You know what I heard, though? I heard that with how powerful his weaponry was, those bullets could have gone through 2 people.
They probably did.
Yeah. Isn't that insane?
It is insane. The whole thing is insane.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so number 4, Paddock was spending millions of dollars a year as an quote unquote apartment complex manager while traveling the world and was a frequent guest at casinos. Okay. So before we go on to the rest of that sentence and this thought, let's look at this. So, he wasn't an apartment complex manager. No. He owned it.
Yeah,
there's a big difference. He was not the dude on the ground who is
called when your pipes
right when your dishwasher does not work. Okay, he's the dude who sits back and makes the money. Okay, right. Big difference. Right. And so he had sold this and made all kinds of money on it and was a multimillionaire. Okay, so that's wrong. Right. Stop. But that was just funny though, because I haven't heard like his source of income downplayed. Like people just kind of accept, oh yeah, okay, well you owned like an apartment complex. That's a big deal. Right. So I wonder if this guy is intentionally downplaying this or if he really doesn't understand what.
No, he's intentionally downplaying this.
Okay, well, I'm like, are you stupid or are you maliciously?
Well,
it's tough to know.
He works for Alex Jones. Of course it's malicious. Mm-hmm. They're trying to make it sound like here's this guy that shows up to fix your pipe with the jeans showing his butt crack, spending millions of dollars a year. That doesn't add up. Mm-hmm. But that's not who he was.
Yeah. Well, it gets better. Okay. This is so awesome. I love this. Okay. So, it says, while traveling the world and was a frequent guest at casinos. And interestingly, I bet you didn't know this, Beth, because I didn't know this. Casinos are one of the few legal places where someone can still launder money legally. Well, anyway, it says you exchange money for chips, no questions asked. And even if you lose 20 or 30% from gambling, the casino gives you the rest of your money back when you turn in the chips. I've frequently found that at casinos when I go in and I get my little chips and I go and I play and I lose it and I come back and say, okay, here's what I have left. You remember me from earlier, right? Give me the rest of my money back because that's how it works and that's how casinos make money.
Right. I think if our podcast takes off, Elizabeth, we should just do a show in Vegas so that we can rake in the cash and then launder it right there. I didn't know it was so easy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good to know.
Now, not to say
good information.
not to say that money laundering doesn't happen in casinos. I'm sure it probably does. And I'm sure there's some extra super duper shady shit that happens in casinos. But the casino giving you back your money?
That's not laundering. Sorry. Also, what the fuck does this have to do with anything?
Oh, I think that this is what I think it has to do. I asked myself that question too. I think that it has to with ISIS.
Oh, right.
Because ISIS needs money and it needs to be laundered, and
because ISIS's main concern is the money being clean.
Right.
That's what they're worried about at night. It's like, well, we have all this money, but it's not been laundered yet through an American casino. We can't buy guns with it.
Like, ISIS has oil fields.
Yeah.
Some dude gambling on video poker and getting this money laundered, like a couple of million. It wouldn't even be worth their effort.
No. Okay. And there's no proof, no links, and no reason. So it's not even that they were saying like he was laundering the money and then spreading it out to the groups within Nevada. Nothing. Nothing. Okay. So,
just a little aside, I have this little synapse that fired, and it's, there was an article that I read several years ago that I was just really kind of entranced with this idea, and it was just kind of interesting. And I just pulled it up just now. Even terrorists have to fill out expense reports.
That's awesome.
And it's this reporting, and this one is an NPR that I pulled it, but there's a few different articles on this reporting about how Al-Qaeda is really aggressively bureaucratic with making sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Everything that they buy, they have to give a receipt.
Wow.
And get paid back so that all the accounting is accurate.
He was an accountant. Okay. So I guess there is, but they don't say that in here. They're not making the leap for you. Mm-hmm. So, and it's still bullshit, but I guess he was an accountant. So I could see where they're trying to maybe go with him laundering money is because he's an accountant. So he would know how to do that, right?
Yeah, but I think it's more the ISIS thing.
Yeah, I know, for ISIS. Yes, definitely for ISIS. Or Antifa. Us liberals need to launder some money too. And not that Antifa is liberals. I don't even want to go there.
Anyway, that's another thing for another day.
Yes. Another day.
So number 5, there is a major cover-up of the shooting that is frustrating state and federal level investigators who are being roadblocked by deep state insiders, sources told Infowars. Yeah,
I think they have this on a template. That's the mandatory deep state statement in their article. Okay, so they got that out of the way.
Yeah, so number 6, over 20 firearms transported to his hotel room, which is under constant surveillance, even in the hotel rooms themselves.
Gross. I guess I'm never going to Vegas and changing again.
Yeah, all kinds of not true.
No.
Yeah, all kinds of not true. And I Googled it too, and there were some articles I was finding saying that even some of these hotel rooms don't have, or hotels don't have cameras in the hallways.
Yeah. Yeah. They care about the casino part, not
yes,
the
exactly.
hotel
It's
part.
all about the casino part and how theft in hotel rooms is such a huge thing. And it's just not being monitored. And there's no fucking way they're monitoring what's going on inside your hotel room. Oh my God. They would be sued 20 times a day and 100 times on Sunday. And this is just not happening. But if you read Infowars, you probably believe it.
Yeah, that's probably true. If you read Infowars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then number 7, we have here, it says, evidence is suggesting that Paddock was possibly a gun runner for the intelligence agency, and which would explain all the guns.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
No,
it's a gun runner with 30 guns is not a gun runner. Like, no. 300,000? Sure.
So even his radicalization would still fit into that narrative. And then it says, remember, former CIA director John Brennan was rumored to have converted to Wahhabism, which I had to Google, and that's a form of Islam. I really doubt that a former CIA director converted to Islam, but I mean, if he did, whatever. But it's so fake. They're even calling it a rumor. Okay. And here.
When Infowars calls it a rumor, it's just too fake. Like,
it's just way too fake.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's hilarious. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, they just have like a picture of, which I'm guessing is his girlfriend in Dubai, I think it is, that has the.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is Dubai. It's the hotel that is shaped like a sail. So they've been to the Middle East.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They've been to the Middle East.
Yeah. And then of course, as we talked about, ISIS claimed, what's the word I'm looking for?
Responsibility.
Yeah. Responsibility. Thank you for this. And then, they showed how ISIS's website has the Mandalay Bay blood red, and, it says some stuff.
So this tweet that they have here on this, article is that New York Times reporter that I was telling you about, Rukmini Calamici.
Yeah.
I read actually a Business Insider article about it just to see like what was actually what's going on, and it really was very brief, and it just said like basically the only thing that anybody has said is this one reporter who works on these issues said that's weird. Mm-hmm. For them to do that. That's not their common denominator. But again, there's no other evidence that backs that up. And even this isn't evidence. It's just somebody who's actually not crazy saying, that's odd. Mm-hmm. And so what? It's odd. That's all there is to it. It's odd. ISIS is odd.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's fine. ISIS can be odd. So, good article overview, Elizabeth. I had to preface that because it was not a good article by Infowars. They are bad.
Well, as far as fiction is concerned.
You did a good job reviewing it.
Thanks.
I got some stuff for you, too. I went in and I looked at... So, we've been familiar with... Kate Starbird. She's an assistant professor of human-centered design and engineering at UW. And she's a researcher of crisis information and online. It actually cuts it off there, but I think it's, online rumors. So she basically studies the massiveness of the crap that comes out after events and why, like what's going on there. And she posted a blog post that she'd actually written back in March. So the good thing for her is she's got this great blog that she can just kind of repost whenever something happens because it's kind of a good summary of her research. And this is called Information Wars, a Window into the Alternative Media Ecosystem, Conspiracy Theories, Muddled Thinking, and Political Disinformation. And basically for 3 years, the lab at the University of Washington that she works with has been conducting research on how people spread rumors online during crisis events. And they looked at natural disasters like earthquakes and hurricanes, as well as man-made events such as mass shootings and terrorist attacks. And they primarily focus on Twitter, just because it's a really easy way to get information about what people are spreading. And over time, they noted that a similar kind of rumor kept showing up over and over again. After each of the man-made crisis events, a conspiracy theory or alternative narrative, Kellyanne Conway would just love this, of the event that claimed it either didn't happen or that it was perpetrated by someone other than the current suspects. And so they first encountered this type of rumor after the Boston Marathon bombings in 2013.
I just got to interject real quick.
Yeah.
As we discussed in our Hurricane Harvey episode, it doesn't have to be a man-made event to have man-made causation. So I don't know, Miss Starbird knows about that. But
in fact, I'm kind of hungry after this. I'm going to go turn on my microwave.
Oh my God, Beth. No. We've had enough bad weather.
No kidding.
For those who might not have heard the episode, we talked about a fake news article about how someone was suggesting that the hurricanes were being caused by different people in different places, all using microwave waves to
microwave transmissions to guide the hurricane.
Where it needed to go.
We're still researching to figure out if that one's true or not, but
put a pin in that.
We'll come back to that one. So, but anyway, they noticed a large number of tweets claiming that the bombings were a quote unquote false flag perpetrated by the U.S. Navy SEALs. So, false flag.
Boston Marathon. Did you say that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is about the Boston Marathon one. So, a false flag, kind of like similar to what you had looked up earlier, false flag describes covert operations that are designed to deceive in such a way that activities appear as though they are being carried out by individual entities, groups, or nations other than those who actually planned and executed them. And that's from Wikipedia. But you hear the term false flag a lot when you look at fake news after an event like this, because it's always, like the government trying to do something other than, it's not this guy, it's the government, and they set him up or anything like that. Ironically, the initial spread of this rumor involved a cascade of tweets linking to an article on the Infowars website.
No, Infowars? Talking about false flags?
And she says here, at the time, our researchers did not know what Infowars was. They know now.
Oh, we've learned.
So they also talk about the Umpqua Community College shooting, and a rumor claimed that event was staged by crisis actors for political reasons. Now, crisis actors is pretty self-explanatory, but I looked it up anyway just because I wanted to make sure that I had it correct. So it's actually kind of interesting because crisis actors were actually a thing. They did the acting in like videos for like
PSAs or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Like there was a subset of actors called crisis actors that did like PSA announcements type things for like things like that.
Like people who are really good at like running and screaming and
yes, exactly. Now there's always, these theories that these events are fake and that they're staffed with crisis actors. And I found a Snopes article that says crisis actors uncovered social media rumors claim the same girl, a crisis actor, was seen crying at tragedies in Boston, Aurora, Oregon, Sandy Hook, and Manchester. So this is actually from a year ago. And basically what they did is they found pictures of women with long, straight, brown hair crying and said, it's the same person. And first of all, this just pisses me off to like a level. It's very disturbing to see these people saying that these people who are being photographed, finding out that their loved ones are dead, that they're actors, and it's just, ugh. Mm-hmm. So anyway,
yeah.
Snopes disputed this and said who these people actually were, and it's literally like people finding out that their family members are dead, and they're very legitimately different people.
Yeah,
there's nothing here. So anyway, that's crisis actors. So
I also saw an article that was talking about this, and it keeps on popping up over and over again after these man-made incidents. Right. The same kind of fake news memes with the brunette girls And the article that I read that was saying that sometimes they use stock footage. And so they'll have, of just some photo of someone who probably is a crisis actor and say, this is a photo from after Sandy Hook. This is a photo from after Boston. And it's not actually, it never was even purporting to be from that. But they just put it up in the meme and say, oh, look at that.
Right. So, and actually there's another article that I found too, and this is actually by Cosmopolitan, but it's called What Drives Someone to Confront Grieving Families. And it says these young women were killed in random shootings. So-called gun truthers or hoaxers believe that mass killings, such as the one at Sandy Hook, were organized by the government to promote more restrictive gun laws. So that's what it comes down to, is that all this is just a big hoax to have more restrictive gun laws. And this one lady, her name is Julian Soto. Her sister, Vicki Soto, was a teacher gunned down at Sandy Hook Elementary School. And she was at the third annual race in honor of her sister. And thousands of people had come out to run the race and to raise money for scholarships. And this man approached her wearing a T-shirt that said Team Vicki. And he began taking a cell phone video of Jillian, and said he had some questions. And he held up a copy of the photo he found online. It was a picture of Vicki and her 3 siblings on Easter Sunday. And she said, I knew right then and there that he was a truther. And basically, this guy was saying that her sister wasn't real, that she was a hoax, and that all of their family pictures were fake, and that, like, her childhood hadn't happened. And he was asking why I pretended my sister existed. I mean, it's just crazy. And these poor families, like, these people attack them. She's trying to copyright her sister's name so that she can get people to stop making Twitter accounts in her name and pretending to be her, to pretend that she's still alive.
Jesus Christ. What?
I mean, that's fucking sick. Like, that these people go this far. And it's not just this lady, of course. It goes on. It talks about, I don't know if you remember that news anchor, Allison Parker, that was shot in the camera, the cameraman.
So insane.
Her boyfriend, they interviewed for this article too, and he's had, I mean, people have just, like, gone after him, given him death threats and all this stuff, like saying that everything isn't real, and, that she's still alive, and that one recent note said, well, look who it is, the false flag hoax crisis actor, because this guy had done some acting in the past. So they're saying that he's a crisis actor. It just was, like, heartbreaking reading this article, to be honest. It's just ridiculous to have these people going after these family members after the fact and telling them that not only did their loved ones not die, but that they weren't real to begin with. And that everything is just an elaborate hoax in order to get gun control laws.
Yeah. Wow. And like I said, how's that working out? Right?
Well, yeah. And she, the sister that I talked about first, one of the things that she said at his sentencing, because the guy actually was tried and sentenced for the harassment of them.
Oh, for the Sandy Hook sister?
Yeah. Yeah. She said the hardest thing is that, like, he basically believes it's real. Like, it's not even that he's doing this, like, this isn't disinformation to him. He believes this.
Like the Pizzagate guy.
Yeah. And he's just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
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 So anyway, back to Kate Starbird's blog here. So they just looked into, like, commonalities and connections and, what basically they were seeing keep happening after these events. And they talked about, let's see here. So initially, like, they weren't, like, really dwelling on these rumors that were coming up because they didn't think it was really going to impact their core research question. And that was how people respond to crisis events and how we could make the information space more useful for crisis-affected people by detecting false rumors. But they basically found like they had to look at this. Like it was driving so much of the content. Mm-hmm. So she mentions in here, one of the websites that she mentions in here that gets talked about quite a bit is called nodisinfo.com. Nodisinfo.com. So I looked them up on Media Bias Fact Check, and they are listed as tinfoil hat level of conspiracy level. They're actually listed as mild for pseudoscience level, which I think just means basically they don't talk about science stuff. They just make shit up.
Okay.
It's just all about conspiracy theories with them. Their factual reporting is low. The notes say, No Disinfo is a blatant conspiracy website that routinely publishes false or unproven information. When reviewing the website, you quickly conclude that anything bad that has ever happened is a hoax or false flag operation. This literally says this. I don't want to exaggerate, but literally nothing is true on this website. This is extreme tinfoil hat. So here's what they have here. Front page. People were bussed in for staging in Las Vegas shooting hoax.
Oh, you see, the thing about this kind of thing is like, how do you organize this?
Oh, let me tell you. They have a picture of a bus with a red arrow that they drew. It says, breaking. People were bussed in for staging in the Las Vegas shooting hoax, proving once and for all that this is entirely fake. This was a movie with all injuries and deaths fabricated. It can be seen that these people are being ordered about and coordinated after departing the bus. The direction of their movement is marked by the arrow. So it's like this grainy picture. There's a bus and there's an arrow.
Well, no, my question was where do you get the people? How do you keep them quiet? You know, I guess
they're crisis actors, Elizabeth. They're professionals. This is what
are they getting George Soros checks too?
Yes.
So it's just that payment system that George Soros has set up.
I'm sure they're on Venmo or something. I don't know.
They probably are on Venmo. No, I'm kidding.
They're probably being paid by Peter Thiel directly on PayPal. Okay, so then it says, suddenly the coordinator appears. It's this super fucking grainy photo. And they have this, it says, bus coordinator seen here carrying playbook. Seriously, I can barely tell that this is a person in this photo. The woman can be seen raising her arm, giving directions while the other woman looks on smiling. Okay, there's a woman with like her arm kind of like raised in the air. She could be like waving. And then it says like hoax fakes because this person is smiling. Okay, so it says this is not possible in a real chaotic event with actual mass casualty and with a gunman running amok, shooting randomly at people.
Well, then maybe that picture wasn't taken there.
No.
How about that? Yeah.
Maybe it was taken when people were arriving for the concert that got off a bus to come to the concert, you know.
Well, I don't have the link. So is it at night or is it during the day?
It's night for sure.
Okay. So how can you tell they're smiling?
You can kind of see this person that's smiling at this other person. This is before the shooting. These people are like walking in an orderly manner. They're like filing in to like the gate or something to go into this concert. This is not people screaming and running out. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then, it just keeps showing like a smirking, smiling person can be seen here again, beaming in her smirk as she performs a fake hug for the cameras. No one is going to act like this except in a fake and a hoax. And then this is really sad because it shows an actual like somebody on the ground, like dying, and somebody like laying on top of them. And it says, massive numbers of people were brought in through various means of mass transportation in this heavily planned and orchestrated hoax. All these people are actors, which is obvious. Regardless, there is no evidence of any injury here. And then it says, were there any actual injuries that would account for real bullet wounds on this woman? All you can see is her face and like her top of her chest. Mm-hmm. Why is she laying about on the ground in the event of a gunman on the loose? If she is not potentially fatally injured?
Oh my God.
I mean,
Wow.
it's just
Wow.
gross, and then it shows like a college freshman who claims her foot was nearly shot off and the bullet's still in her ankle, like in a hospital bed, and she's smiling. So game over. It's all fake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're telling the insurance company that they need to deny this hospital claim because you're not really hurt.
And, this is really good. You're going to like the title of this next article that they have. Tear sticks used to induce fake tears in Las Vegas shooting hoax. Oh. They also have death photo of Las Vegas mass shooter is fake.
Is there a death photo of him?
Well, if it is, it's fake, Elizabeth, so we don't even have to look at it.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, is there...
I don't know. I don't think
like,
so.
Why would there be? Like, why would you have that?
Least, yeah.
No one would have that. If that got leaked, like they would lose their fucking minds.
They basically, if you look through this website, exactly what Media Bias Fact Check said, any event that's happened, they say it's fake.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it when you sent it to me earlier on my phone, but I don't want to pull it up on my computer.
Do not blame you. But they have this graph on the blog, on Kate Starbird's blog, and it graphs out like the domain network graph. It's like the domain network graph of like the domains that are clicked on, right?
Yeah, what is it called? It's a bubble graph?
Yeah. And they have it color coded. So like purple's like real actual news organizations and teal is the fake people. And nodisinfo.com is a pretty big bubble. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the bigger the bubble is where
the more clicks,
more of the alternative narrative occurs.
Right.
So the biggest bubble is Infowars.
They actually took off a different one. She said that, so there was this website called The Real Strategy, and it was so big, they actually took it off this graph. And I tried to look it up and I couldn't find them, but it took me to this other website called beforeitsnews.com, which is on this graph. And it's basically pretty similar to this nodisinfo.com. It was just a bunch of crap. And, it's just frustratingly awful, like what they talk about. But, okay, so real quick, another thing that they talk about is red pills. Okay, so red pills, you hear that a lot from Alex Jones, if you listen to Alex Jones. Now, that does come from the Matrix, which kind of pisses me off. But, so this is the Wikipedia page. It says the red pill and its opposite, the blue pill, are popular cultural symbols representing the choice between knowledge, freedom, and the sometimes painful truth of reality, which is the red pill. And then falsehood, security, and the blissful ignorance of illusion, the blue pill. And so these conservative websites have taken this red pill and made it their symbol, basically, is that take the red pill, people, take the red pill. So, which is ridiculous. They're taking a freaking orange, yellow, green pill. So anyway, this blog goes on to talk about a lot more. It's very interesting. I won't go through all of it with you guys just because there is quite a lot and it's kind of academically related. I wish we could have Kate Starbird on here to talk about it. She would do it a lot of justice. Yeah. But, here's the thing that the most tweeted domain in our data was therealstrategy.com. It was tweeted so many times, 7,436, and connected to so many domains relative to all other domains that we had to remove it from the graph. It was the only highly cited, highly connected media domain we removed. In comparison, the Infowars site only had 1,742 tweets compared to the 7,400. So
wow.
That realstrategy.com. But it's all like a bot. Like basically what they found is that it's just a computer bot
And right. And the, she was saying the computer bot, they'd set up Twitter accounts and they were just constantly posting.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably, honestly, Russian troll bots. So there you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the Infowars bot wasn't as good, they said. So many times. Which did kind of make me laugh. But one thing that they do mention on here that this is really interesting. So it says political propaganda, nationalism versus globalism. So one of the first things that struck us as we conducted qualitative content analysis on the alternative media domains was the amount of political content on the website. We attempted to characterize this content going through several rounds of iteration. We attempted to characterize this content going through several rounds of iteration to try and recognize patterns across the sites and distinguish between different political orientations. It quickly became clear that the U.S. left, liberal, versus right, conservative, political spectrum was not appropriate for much of this content. Instead, the major political orientation was towards anti-globalism. Almost always, this orientation was made explicit in the content. So I thought that was really interesting. It's really not a liberal versus conservative issue. It's a globalism versus anti-globalism issue.
That's super interesting.
And it said, in this way, to be anti-globalist would include being anti-mainstream media, anti-immigration, anti-corporation, anti-U.S. government, and anti-European Union. Due to the range of different meanings employed, the sentiment of anti-globalism pulled together individuals and ideologies from both the right and the left of the U.S. political spectrum. Disturbingly, much of the anti-globalist content in these alternative media domains was also anti-Semitic.
Yeah, so it says, echoing long-lived conspiracy theories about powerful Jewish people controlling world events. Yeah. That old chestnut, as they say.
Right. So I thought that was very interesting, just because it kind of takes on a different view of what we would maybe common sense think that is left versus right. Mm-hmm. But it basically, they talk about it brings together, a liberal and a Donald Trump supporter that both have this like anti-global view, which is odd, but okay.
Well, and it reminds me of what I heard people say during the election, saying, if I can't vote for Bernie Sanders, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And do you understand their difference in policies and the difference in the type of people who they are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It also talks about how much of the information that people get that they think is from different sources isn't. Mm-hmm. And it said a person seeking information within this ecosystem might encounter an article from one website that synthesized an article from a second website that was originally posted on and copied from a third website. One effect of that is that people seeking information within a space may think they are getting information from many different sources, when in fact they are getting information from the same or very similar sources laundered through different websites. So it was just they've done a lot of research here.
Yeah, this is a really good post. And there's one thing I just want to point out here that I think it's really at the heart of everything that we talk about and what Kate Starbird is researching here. And it's why this is so dangerous. So here she's talking about a 2014 article called The Menace of Unreality. And in that article, the authors describe how Russian disinformation strategies, which they trace back to Lenin, are designed not to convince, but to confuse and create muddled thinking within a society. And then this is highlighted in the article. It says, their strategic argument is that a society who learns it cannot trust information can be easily controlled.
Yep. Yeah. That's scary.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this is, it's very interesting. She's got some interesting work going on. And I I think there's been a couple times where her work was relevant to what we were talking about, but I really wanted to pull it in this time and really kind of go through a little bit of it. So, yeah. So that's what I have. Any more crazy on your side?
Nope, I'm all run out of crazy.
You're all
today.
crazied out?
I'm all crazied out. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, if you have any crazy that you'd like to submit to us, then you can do so. You can email us at podcastfakenews@gmail.com. Reach out to us, follow us on Twitter, Podcast Fake News. Follow us on Facebook. If you'd like to support the show, come check us out on Patreon.
Yeah, for sure. I will say this really quick. We probably won't get to do an episode on it because it'll be too far past, but we had talked about doing an episode on the NFL controversy and all the fake news that came from that. So, and one of the things that we had seen was a meme of, now I'm going to forget his name. I just had it. He was the Seahawks, Michael Bennett, that got pulled over, that got, manhandled in Vegas.
Yeah.
And there's a meme out there of him holding a burning flag while the Seahawks are like dancing around him in the locker room. So just as an FYI, that's fake.
That didn't happen.
That didn't happen. But it really, it kind of made me just really mad because it was definitely like, just trying to really discredit him. And, that's not what kneeling is about. So,
and
anyway,
you're not going to have an open flame in a locker room.
No, and football players are not burning the flag. They're not even protesting the flag. And I just wanted to take a moment to say that. And the fake news that you're seeing about the NFL controversy is just, please understand what that is actually about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about the real news about Mike Pence going to a 49ers game and then getting up and leaving? So taxpayer money paid for you to attend this event so that you could make a political statement.
Oh, I saw the best response to this. Oh, Zach Braff on Twitter wrote, so he was, wait for it, protesting. I was like, yes. Yes, he was peacefully protesting, which he does have the right to do in our country.
Well, and he can do that on his own dime. Thank you very much.
Exactly. He could. He's an asshole, but he has the right to do that. He has the right to peacefully protest, just like the players on the field have that right. So anyway, just wanted to mention that real quick because I don't think we'll actually get to do that episode.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, hey, I'm so glad we're back.
Yay!
Yeah. So until next time,
Fake
guys.
news, better watch out.
That's
Beth
right.
and Elizabeth are back.
Kicking ass and taking names and throwing paper towels at people. So watch out.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Yeah. Until next time.
Spread jam.
Not lies.